What's up, guys? Got a kind of a crazy day here in Norway. PC.
Hey,
Good morning.
morning or evening to you.
3 p.m. here. 8 a.m. We're
Afternoon.
right. 8 a.m.
Yeah.
Early one for you.
Yeah, I'm running around getting stuff done this morning.
We are doing the same. We just were coming off the floor of doing a briefing for the judges and going over the movement flow. We got the new apparel that came in today. We'll talk about that on the show when Roger jumps in here. And just getting everything ready. Competition starts tomorrow. A lot of times the day before the competition is like super crazy. But today it's not so bad because they used this space last week. So the majority of the setup or a big part of the setup was already done. But nevertheless, there's always small details going on. And we wanted to make sure to squeeze in this podcast. We had a few different topics that we want to touch on today. Obviously, we're going to preview the Norwegian Throwdown that we'll be streaming coverage of for the RX divisions over the next 3 days. And I sat down with Roger yesterday to talk about a rebrand that he's doing. That's what these apparel are. So we're going to take a look at his new rebranded company, him and his business partners. And the thing that Patrick's looking forward to the most, we're going to talk about the first announced workout of the 2024 CrossFit Games, which is Chad, the hero workout Chad. Good morning, Audrey. Early bird. Well, for you guys, yes. For us, it's 3 p.m. So we've been up. I already played some disc golf this morning up in the hills of Norway. Put a little reel up on Instagram for you to check out if you like that kind of thing. And just get into work over here. How's your week been, Patrick?
Hectic. I realized, I got like 6 days till I basically leave my place. And it's
and you're leaving
stressful.
for at least 9 months, right?
Yeah, it might be closer to 10. So I don't know, it's just stressful. Nights just packing, and not really even packing, but just getting everything in order. You just don't leave a whole place and dogs. You don't throw 10 months of dog food on the floor and see you later. It's just a lot of arrangements, pre-arrangements, stuff like that. So yeah, stressful, hectic, and looks like Roger's jumping in. Eventually.
Audrey, yes, Patrick is heading. He's got to go to Texas for some training prior to going to Germany, where he's going to be stationed as the commander of a. You tell her what it is.
Yeah, it's I command a public affairs unit, so basically we handle the media for certain entities in the military. So that's what I will be doing. I'll be commanding a group of 9 amazing soldiers of varying experience. I'm probably military-wise, I'm probably the least experienced. But overall wise, when it comes to media, I'm probably the most experienced. But in terms of the way the military does things and the way the Army does, the civilian side they do things a little slightly different. So there. Whoa. Don't know what that was.
Patrick's been in the military, let me see, 26, 28 years, something like that?
Close. 31 this summer.
Damn, almost as old as I am.
Yeah.
Impressive, man.
All right. I think Roger's ready.
Roger is ready. We might have kind of just a sneak peek of him in the closet there with no shirt on. He actually joked that he was going to do the whole podcast without a shirt on. So
I mean, that seems to be the thing now.
I don't know what podcast you've been watching.
My wife told me I need to put the shirt on. I'm not that fit anymore, so
whatever.
If you guys are not familiar with Roger Gilros, he joined us for a friendly conversation back in February. Roger runs a handful of competitions in Norway and Sweden every year. He's been doing that. He's been running competitions since 2016. He started in the affiliates, and for the last 3 years, he's been doing 5 or 6, sometimes even 7 throughout the year in Scandinavia. And you may also be familiar with him if you were around during the sanctionals era, because he ran the Norwegian CrossFit Championships in February of 2020 on top of a mountain. And the Morning Chalk Up was there. Tommy Marquez, Justin LaFranco, Bill Grundler, and Matt Jacobson were on the mic. And actually, he and I were looking back at some of the footage and the review, and the slate of athletes from that competition is more impressive now to me than it was then. And you're talking about guys like Aniola Kai, who got 5th place in Europe, in all of Europe this year. He was 21st at that competition back then. You had young Gabriela Magawa, Jacqueline Dahlstrom, and a host of other athletes that you may not have known much about then, but you will know about if you've been following the sport more recently. But that's not why we're here today. Go ahead.
You'll also remember that competition as it was the one that featured the outside run on the ski slope.
That ski slope, mountain, whatever you want to call it. It was absolutely crazy. Yeah, Roger and I were watching. We watched both the Morning Chalk Up and Craig Ritchie's recap of that event. It is one of the more iconic events from the sanctional eras, maybe in the history of the sport of CrossFit. Actually, I would kind of put that event on par with the open water rowing that Strength in Depth did during the sanctional eras. Anyway, Roger is a wealth of information when it comes to running competitions, because besides doing them, he travels around the world. He's been to pretty much every competition you could think of other than the Games and Rogue, I would say, to watch and learn and volunteer. And I've seen him at competitions doing literally every job you can think of, from emceeing to commentary to laying flooring to judging to head judging, and across the board, he makes it a purpose to know the ins and outs of competition. It's been a privilege for me to be able to have a firsthand experience of his competitions as an athlete last year, and in the organizational side this time around for Norwegian Throwdown. Roger, do you want to say anything? I've been just blowing you up here for 2 minutes.
No, yeah, no, I think you sum it up pretty too good, if you can say that. No, but I've been all over the place. I'm trying to travel as much as I can, and I'm really lucky to having a wife that is also a part owner of the company and really, really loves CrossFit and just want me to be as best as I can be in the job I'm doing for the community of CrossFit. And to do it really, really good, you need to travel. You need to be out there and listening and watching and seeing and feeling and smelling and tasting what's going on, not only on the biggest arena, but also on the smallest competition you can find at 30 teams, north in Norway, whatever, to see the community, to see where the sport is going and the training is going and what people are talking about, what people think is important, judges, sponsors, athletes, everybody. So to travel is a really important part of my job. It's also, of course, privileged to have that as a job, and because I love CrossFit and training and competing. So yeah.
And this weekend, we have Norwegian Throwdown, but you also have the debut of a rebranding of your company. That's what we're wearing the shirts for here. You've been known as Throwdown Events in Scandinavia for the last several years, and you're changing to the WODLA Group. Do you want to tell us a little about that?
Yeah. Throwdowns is something that people recognize for CrossFit competitions globally and locally, and there is competitions everywhere. We call Throwdown something, Battle Off for Throwdown, and sometimes we have now in Scandinavia there is competition also called Throwdown. That is, we don't own it. It's something we use, everybody, and someone thinks that is us making another competition, I think, and we want to separate a little bit more. That's so athletes and sponsors knows when it's us doing a competition, because we do it a little bit different than the other ones in Scandinavia. So that's why we were together with some new ownership and new structure. We thought it was about time of rebranding the company to something more unique. The first hand is something more unique and something that people can see. Okay, this is a competition made of Roger and his crew. So that's why when we try to figure out the name and would work out of today is something that it's important for us. And then we played around and we found the name WODLA. That is like workout, dream, learn, adapt. A couple of the keywords of whatever we do in CrossFit, thing we preach in the affiliates every day when we coach. So we put that together, and now we have WODLA.com. That is our new brand and name of the company, WODLA Group.
Yeah, and we had a chance to talk yesterday, just for you to give me a little bit more detail about your vision, the team of partners that has come together to create this new brand. The first drop of apparel is going to be here on site, so people who are in Oslo and coming to the competition this weekend can pick up some of the first ever editions. I always think it's cool when a new company starts, because like this sweatshirt or that t-shirt that you're wearing, it's the original. And you might see it and think to yourself, because this is how you are, I know you're like this, we could do something a little better, which means that this might be the only run of this sweatshirt or the only run of that shirt. And the next one may have something slightly different to it. So I always think when a company is starting, if you're, especially if you know the people, it's fun to get the first run. I mean, Patrick and I we had a first run of a sweatshirt for B.Friendly before it was even B.Friendly Fitness. And we gave them away. And we haven't been able to get them back. So if you believe in Roger and what he does and you're on site, you definitely want to stop by and pick something out. But he will also have an online store coming in the fall for people to be able to make purchases. And I think that was also something that was important to you from our conversation yesterday, is to have some place to distribute, merchandise in Europe and in Scandinavia. And that's part of the reason you guys are doing the online store.
Yeah, we had it's a lot of brands contacting us for joining our events or being visual on our platforms, because we have been done this since 2016. We have thousands of athletes every year. This year we have over 4,000 athletes competing in one or more of our arenas. So we have a pretty solid platform of athletes on 1 year, not on one event. So we do many events, and a lot of those brands, they don't have afforded it, or they can't see how they can make money on traveling to Norway, especially because it's outside EU and it's difficult and expensive to bring product in. And that's why we have earlier we did this for a couple of brands. We sold their product in our event shop, and I got really people liked it and they really appreciate it. So we now opening in this web shop. The first idea was having those brands that can't be here. We have some couple of brands already that normally don't have time to be on our event, but they want to be a part, like Elico. They can't be on site, but they have their equipment here and everything, but they want to have their apparel and stuff. We will sell those stuff in our web shop, but before the event, during the event, after the event, and a handful of different brands globally that want to be visual in Scandinavia, and we can give them that platform on the biggest arenas in Scandinavia, the biggest exposure you can get in Scandinavia for CrossFit. We actually have it. And at the same time, me and my friends in the company, we really like clothes. We really like CrossFit stash, and so this is like a boy dream to create something cool, and we are working on really, really cool design. So this is just our base logo icon thing, but in the future you will see something really different. So yeah, going to be something really cool and unique, and something I don't see so much in CrossFit right now in apparels.
This is the article on the B.Friendly Fitness that we put together yesterday, just announcing the rebrand this weekend. When I was talking to you about it, you said something to me that you've said before, which is about the 4 pillars of a successful competition. I think that is a message that a lot of people that are within those pillars, but also people that run competitions, can learn a lot from. Do you mind just kind of walking everyone else through your vision in terms of that?
The biggest problem that events have, from experience and from knowing a lot of CrossFit competition directors, is money to survive. How can we do this? How can we continue? How can we survive giving more prize money, or having better, cooler arenas. And we need to get more revenue in. And to get more revenue, it is the biggest two portions are spectators and sponsors. And the other two really, really important pillars of the company. You have athletes. We have the athletes. That is support and trust we have. We sold out both our competitions in Norway in under 5 days, and that is over 2,000 tickets. Yeah. So we have the trust from the athletes. The staff, they are coming, they are helping us. We have the trust from the staff. So that part is like safe. So the next part is the spectators and the spectators and sponsors. And the spectators and sponsors are almost no limit. We can have 2,000, 3,000, 10,000, 20,000, 300,000 spectators if they're always bigger arenas. For us, it's not possible to have more athletes, so it's full. So what we're working on now is like how to make the sport more friendly for the audience, how to be able to follow on. It needs to look good, it needs to be organized, it needs to look organized. It can't only be organized in the programmer's head or the athlete's head. When you're sitting on the stands and you're like doing CrossFit for 2 weeks, 2 months, never done CrossFit, you need to understand what's going on. And to be able to do that, we need better arenas, more visual stuff, and all those stuff cost shitload of money. And that's why I want to make a much more cleaner, nicer, professional look on the competitions, before the competitions, after the competitions, so the spectators' trust gets there, and then the word goes that you should go and watch this because it's really, really cool to watch and it's easy to follow. And the next part is the sponsors, and it's the same thing. We will get all the CrossFit sponsors, the brands, the Leica, all the grips and belt and tapes. Those guys are coming, but if you really want to take the next level, we need to go to the big companies like the banks, the insurance companies, the car companies, and the food industry. And if they are going to come, they need to look at something that they need to look really, really good, organized. We need to deliver on all parts before and after. And when they see a more professional arena, they won't hesitate a second because we have the people. 75% of all CrossFitters globally, I saw this somewhere, have a bachelor. It means that it's pretty good people in the house, and they have a little bit more money than the rest, and they are willing to spend it because they're spending their monthly gym card. It's the most expensive one in the world. If you look at that like a normal membership. So this is a really attractive group of people that the sponsors, the big companies want to go to, but it need to look better. And that's where I feel I have a really big job to do. And that's this one part of this rebranding of making our look, our graphic look, our visual look more better, professional, organized, systemized, all those fancy words. Yeah.
No, I think it's really well said. It's a simple way to break down, a massive amount of consideration that you give to what a successful competition can have. And excuse me, I'm not sure if you said it there or not, but obviously, if there are more and more spectators on site, that's also appealing for vendors to show up at competitions, to buy a booth, to pay for some square footage, because more people are going to not even just necessarily buy their products, but stop by their booth and see what's going on. Sometimes there's companies that they're not actually asking you to buy anything at their booth. They just want awareness. And if you're walking around Vendor Village and there's 10 people there, and 10% stop by, that's one person. 100 people is 10 people. 1,000 people, that's 100 people. And if 100 people stop by, now there's likely that there's going to be somebody in that group or some people in that group that are interested in whatever your cause or your business is. Mm. So I thought it was a beautiful way to say that. This is, like we said, an article that's just announcing their rebrand. I think that it's, appropriate based on the things that I know that you're working on and that you're aware of here. And I think it's exciting for, the community that you have a massive impact on here in Scandinavia. Like you said, there's already a ton of people that are bought into what you're doing, and it's also nice to have something that's a little bit fresh. It's kind of like when you go to the gym and you see that the owner that you've been at the gym at for 5 years has just bought a brand new whatever type of equipment. Like they're reinvesting in the gym, they're reinvesting in the products, and that makes you feel like, oh, they're reinvesting in me. And I think that for the, like you said, the staff and the athletes, holy cow, whoever's that is, stop that. That was loud. They're already bought in, but it gives them like a renewed sense of the fact that you're still striving to make things better, even though it's already really good.
Yeah.
Do you want to speak, because I know all of your competitions are a little bit different. Obviously, we're doing Norwegian Throwdown this weekend. Do you just want to share for people that might be following along with some of the live stream this weekend about what makes Norwegian Throwdown unique compared to your other events?
Norwegian Throwdown has always been following the same thing. They've been team of two. It's also been team of three before. But the whole thing is everybody competes 2 days. And everybody starts at the same level, except this year. It's his first year. We have a RX division and then an open division. But the other years, we had just an open division the first day. And everybody do the same workouts, more based on a ladder of skills, a pure cardio, a strength workout to separate between RX, intermediate, and scale. And then we decide where we put the line of RX and intermediate and put the line between intermediate and scale. And it's always when we announce where we put the line, there's always people, well, I don't want to be RX, or I don't want to be intermediate, I want to be RX. And you just, sorry, dude, you are where you are, and that's how it is. And but people likes it. Obviously, they be sold out under 2 days, 500 and something people. So and now we moved to Norway, and we moved to the center of Oslo instead of the ski resort of many reasons. And it's more like it's fun CrossFit. It's not the perfect test of fitness. It's just 2 days. It's a test of fitness. We have all the elements of in CrossFit: weight lifting, cardio, strength, gymnastics, blah blah blah, all the way. So, but it's more like we're trying to have a fun and working really really hard. Me and Brian, because me and Brian programmed this, and this is one of the events of the year I program. I'm a part of more or less programming, but this year I do it together with Brian. The other year I did it myself. But I want to have one event a year where I can kind of test stuff. And Norwegian Throwdown is the one that is a little bit more around the edges. When field program and prepare program is more like hardcore straight lines in the programming. So we could always expect some more. Oh, it's a little bit different, or this is more fun. And that's Norwegian Throwdown. Yeah.
Roger, if you know how to turn on the Do Not Disturb on your computer, that would be nice. You don't know how to do it, though. Well, if you figure it out, that'd be good. Those beeps are very loud for some people.
Found it.
You got it. Look at that.
Look at that. Roger, the old guy learning new stuff.
Yeah.
We do have another article beyond B.Friendly Fitness previewing this competition, and as Roger was saying, he and I worked together to program for this competition, and the stuff that he was talking about earlier with regards to the presentation was very, very clear to me in the conversations we were having. I wrote, majority of the workouts, and a lot of the feedback that he had was on two fronts. It was very thoughtful about how the workout's going to look for the stands, and even when we were just going over the flow of the workout, the details he was looking for were about, this would work for the athletes, this might work for the judges, but how is it going to look for the audience? Those are the details that he thinks are critical for maintaining interest on the spectators throughout the competition. And then secondarily, the gear crew, the equipment team. And this is something that, as I've worked with more and more competitions and they send me programming earlier and earlier, I see that this detail can often be forgotten. It's very easy to write a workout, but it's not great if your workout ends with a 150-pound sled in 20 lanes on the wrong side of the floor, and now your equipment team needs to move it all the way back. Or that you have several different divisions, and it's going to require a massive change of barbells every 3 heats for 4 hours in a row. So these things, thinking about this, even to the point where in the final workout that we have on Sunday, there's very minimal equipment on the floor, meaning that the gear team has already had a chance to pack up barbells, weight plates, ski ergs and bikes and whatever. And all that might be left is a dumbbell and a box, or a kettlebell and a rope climb, or something like this. Those types of details add up for the experience of those 4 pillars that Roger talked about. And it was actually quite insightful for me to work with him in the run up to this one.
Yeah, it's so important. And some programmers, they don't understand that you can do a lot with a rig, a floor, and a box. Everything you can do. It's so much you can do, and it doesn't mean that it's bad because you get restricted. And we're working really, really hard during the whole year. You can't forget, we do 5 events minimum a year, our own, of minimum of between 4 to 1,300 athletes. So, and we do it 5 times a year. We don't do 1 a year. So we learn 5 times a year, plus that we organize 2 or 3 events outside our ownership, and working on 5, 6 events as just a normal crew or hired or whatever. So then,
and in addition to that, you'll travel to between 2 and 5 events that you're not running during the year. So you're getting touch points, a dozen or more touch points every single year as an opportunity to learn.
And I'm absorbing, I'm learning so much from all this event. Even if it's the smallest event with 20 teams or 10 teams in just a box throwdown, you always learn if you're willing to be learning. There's one of the names in the company, WODLA, learn, adapt, and be adaptable, be coachable. That's what it's all about, CrossFit. Keep that dementia away by always learn new stuff. Like, my brain, I've never felt better because I'm so open of learning. And when you're open of learning and you leave that pride at the door, it's amazing what you can create, that it's organized, on time, fun, challenging, all those parts that everybody wants. And you don't need to be the coolest programmer in the world creating the new stuff, because then it is such a big risk that you just flops, because it's really, really tough. And when you start understanding and watching and learning, it's really cool. And you can learn anything. Like I was sitting on the stands on Wodapalooza watching on the Bayside when the rain was there. I saw Dylan and the guys on the floor discussing. They were standing, no stress. I trust me, they had stress. But they were standing on the floor. They had 1,000 people watching, plus the live stream. They were standing in the group of the managers, talking, discussing, testing different stuff, organizing, not chaos, organizing, stepping on the box with the barbell, with the dumbbell, okay, take a decision, do a high five, do a brief, and it's finished. I learned so much during that rain that it's amazing to watch and learn. It's like, and that's a big part of showing everybody that we have control, we don't have stress, we will fix this, just relax, and we are on it. And so you don't always need to learn about programming. You can also learn about how to behave, how to act, how not to act or behave. Yeah.
Absolutely. And we got some of our good friends, by the way, have joined in here. They're in the West Coast. Sarah Cooper, 6:30 a.m. where she's at, 3:30 here where me and Roger are. Our friend Jeff joining us. And by the way, Jeff, we will be talking about Chad here momentarily, and Jeff Birchfield down in Texas as well. Thank you guys for tuning in early today. We know we're a little early, but trying to make it work with the schedule that Roger has today.
Ryan.
Yes?
Ryan, you know what you said yesterday.
What's that?
You're going to do Chad today.
I know we're running out of time for that, but they did. If you guys missed it, They did announce the CrossFit Games. Dave Castro, courtesy of Jocko, announced the first workout of the 2024 Games. Chad, the hero workout, Chad 1000. I know that some of the guys in the U.S. have already had a chance to talk about it, and maybe some of you guys listened to that. Roger and I were sitting in the car when we saw it. We did a little first reaction, like literally we saw it. I turned the camera on. I asked Roger what he thought. I said one or two things, and we posted it. Dave Castro reposted it within like 5 seconds, it felt like, and he sent me a message that said there's going to be some twists on this one. I know he has since also said that on one of his athlete interviews, but before Roger says anything about it, I know Patrick has some thoughts about this workout, and I want to give him a chance to share his thoughts, and then Roger share his, and then if Roger needs to go, we'll let him go, and then Patrick and I will continue from there.
Yeah. One, I thought I was shocked. I knew it was going to be a hero workout because obviously 4th of July, they've done that in the past. I was really shocked that it was actually going to be Chad, because initially when you think about it, aesthetically, because that's been like, I think the biggest, I don't know, point of contention is the aesthetics of it. One thing I know about Dave is like he can take a boring workout or a workout that is foreseen as boring and turn it into a spectacle. And I think Roger probably could talk on that a little bit more when we get to him. But yeah, standing up on a box sometimes. You know, I did this workout, I believe, right around Christmas of 2019. I think I did it initially first time when it was introduced. I think I did it in like 72 minutes. So, for most people, I heard, people get about 65 minutes.
Was that with the weight vest?
No, it was with a rucksack. So I did it RX with the rucksack. A first 500. It's about that first 500. First 500, I did it in like about 34 minutes. I have to find the picture of that when I did it, but I think it was right around 34, 35 minutes. And then it kind of went downhill after that. But a lot of people are saying, "Oh, this will be boring. This will be boring," and I don't think it's going to be boring. And if it is, why complain about it now? Because every year there's a workout, a long workout, whether it be a swimming workout, whether it be the 5K or 5K run or the marathon row. Yeah, but this isn't one of those. I mean, this workout for the top athletes, most of them will finish about 5 minutes. Everyone's like comparing it to the marathon row, which marathon row was almost 2 hours.
2.5 hours for Lucas Esslinger and 3.5 hours for the slowest woman. So that's significantly longer.
So there's no comparison. I mean, you compare a 45-minute. There might be a couple athletes that it will take about maybe an hour, but I think the majority of athletes, because we haven't seen this workout done in a competition format 4 times for speed. The other point of contention is everyone's like, "Oh no, how are you gonna judge this?" And everyone's comparing it to the quarterfinals. Quarterfinals of a game totally different. One, you're gonna have live judges, and and something I'm really dear about, and Brian and people that know my background, the judges you'll have judging this at the games will be the best judges in the world. These are guys who are guys and women and men that have been experienced they've been judging at the games for over 10 years. And it's not one of these simple things where they take a judge's course and then they go in and they're counting at your gym for a quarterfinal workout. These judges, this crew's already been briefed on this. They're going to get a more in-depth brief on site from probably Chuck. I think Chuck has assumed the mantle. Him or Jason have assumed the mantle of the head judge of the games, and those guys are vets. They know what they're doing. And then on top of it, you're going to have all 80 athletes getting a brief prior to this, an in-depth brief. If you've been to an athlete brief, what they do is they explain the flow of the workout. Then they bring on the demo team. They're going to demo it. They're going to go through the points of performance, and then they're going to open it up to athletes for any questions. So for people to compare it to quarterfinals, when you don't have that feedback, you don't have the explanation. When all the no reps were handed out during the video review, it's totally different. And this also, the athletes also have a chance. If they get a no rep, they'll have a chance to correct it. there on spot.
Immediately.
Yes.
Yes. Roger, any thoughts you want to share about Chad? I know we were talking a little bit at dinner last night.
No, first reaction was this is a light version of Row, so it's a similar thing, but it's a shorter version of the kind of the similar thing. And I think I have my thoughts. I said it yesterday. I think it would be really, really cool if they do it like bring it all them out, bring all the girls, all the boys out on the same floor, let them all race, girl against boys, see if they can who will win. Have some cool way of showing the reps, either if it's like Brian said with this counter stuff they had before in, or they move the boxes or whatever they do. But why not? Like, and for the athletes that's whining, like, there's no point of whining. So for me, this is something I ask myself, like, how do I want people to watch myself? I'm going to be the whiny guy, or I'm going to be, okay, let's do it.
Mm-hmm.
I want to be that guy that owns it instead of being that whines about it. So even if I think, oh, fuck, this is going to be whatever, but I'm going to do it. I need to do it. I'm going to go there. So then it's just to put that mind on instead, like, I'm going to do this and I'm going to figure out my strategy for it. and just do it. Let's go.
Yeah.
I think that that's excellent. And this was I see this comment from Sarah here. Dave said it probably won't be all 80. Too many logistical issues. I mean, I totally. What was that?
He said yesterday, I forgot who he was interviewing. It might have been Ariel. He said 2 heats. It'll probably be 2 heats. Or Ricky. I think he told Ricky it'll be 2 heats. So guys and you'll have 40 out there.
Yeah, I mean, and that's totally fine, because we have to keep in mind, like, I agree with Roger. I think it would be great to have all 80 athletes on the floor like they did for the marathon row. When he said that if he's saying there's a logistical issue, he has information that we don't have. Maybe it's a number of judges available. Maybe it's a space on the floor. Maybe they have designed something that's very cool for counting the reps or keeping track of the reps, but they only have 40 of them. They don't have 80 of them. Also at the games, they usually have a judge, but they also have a rep counter that's off the field of play, and maybe they don't have enough of those people. So there's plenty of different variables in play. And we could sit over here and speculate all we want about all the different ways that we might do it, but I think we don't have the same information that Dave has.
Then we fall back to what we talked about before, how to organize an event. It's not black and white. It's so much things going on the backside that nobody knows about. And if you can, I invite anyone. Join me 2 months before an event. Join me on my email. Join me on the days before where we do everything. There's so many moving parts because we work with people. And so when you now say a rep counter, judges, systems, wow, we're talking 200 people. 250, 200, more than 200 people to manage that event with 80 people on the floor, with judge, rep counter, plus systems and all that other stuff. Is 200 people.
So and if you have you also want to keep in mind that, like, 40 athletes on the field of play at a time, that's a lot of people to keep track of. It's a lot of people to talk about. Even with 40 athletes and 40 to 50 minutes of work that they're all going to be doing, there's going to be some athletes that don't get a ton of attention. If you extrapolate that to 80 athletes, then you're reducing the number of people that you can actually give some kind of meaningful access to for spectators on site or at home, even further.
And if you see at the marathon row, you use the erg race system, and then you kind of don't need any judges, because everything is just hooked up to a computer, and you have some people that's managing and watching over it. And so that's like 20 people instead of 200 people. And it seems like more technical and worse with the row, but it's actually more simple. And that's the problem. That's the biggest thing we have. Many people say, like, oh, look at football, look at this and this. The judges get so much paid. What's happening in CrossFit? In football and soccer. football
You're
soccer.
good. You're good. All right, we have
In
internet.
my kind of the world, they need 3 person to manage a full football game. In our event here, we need 45 judges plus all the rest of the people, and it's like, imagine games. Imagine the bigger, the more lanes you get, more athletes you get, more staff you need, and more people you need to come here for free. And it's not even So
I don't
Well,
think.
that's the system now. But Roger, you and I were talking about potentially a different system, and it's not something that we've tried yet. But there are conversations. Roger and I were having one earlier this week about ways to move this judging forward or in a different direction that could potentially reduce that footprint. And the cool thing about what Roger does out here, since he does have these 5 different events, and they are of kind of, I don't want to say different levels of it. They're not of different levels of importance to him, but they're of different scopes, and they're for different audiences in terms of the athletes participating. So he does have the opportunity to try some new systems, maybe with one division or one workout at one of these competitions, and get some feedback to see if it's something that's viable at a bigger scale.
we did that during COVID, together with CrossFit, together with lots of the big players in the global. Like I was the first guy to do a CrossFit event during COVID, and by following different rules and different systems, because I was able to have an event, full-size event for 50 athletes. I could have that in my arena, and had a Leico supporting me with everything I needed. So we're testing stuff, and that's the fine part of being who I am with so many competitions. And my wife's coming. Hello. And this, what we're talking about is like we need to figure out to make this less stressful for the community, but still professional. And I'm always discussing. I love when Brian comes here because I can really go down micro nerding together with Brian, that is so deeply involved in the knowledge around CrossFit globally, whatever. And so, and we're probably not going to test it this weekend, but it's interesting. It's really, really interesting. Yeah.
I think where people aren't giving Dave enough credit. We need to trust Dave on this. I mean, when it comes to games programming, in terms of not just the events and of the whole test, because it is a whole test. It's just not one event. It's not a singular event. It all ties into one thing, and that's finding the fittest in the world. But also, making it something that's very friendly for viewers. I know a lot of people are like, "Oh, I'm glad I'm not going to travel from Europe all the way to Texas to watch a person step up on a box." You're looking at things in one singular. You're taking one aspect of it. Again, every event at the games, that's fun to watch. I mean, when you run, swim, run's a perfect example. You can't tell me the run, swim, run was fun to watch, but yet you still had thousands of people at the finish line cheering them on. You have people on the swim route. People are just lined up watching because it's all about supporting the athlete. It's not just about is it fun and exciting. You know, if you're standing there watching a person run by you once, or the bike event, you literally maybe saw the athlete, your favorite athlete, go by 5 times. I forgot how many loops it was. Well, actually, it was a bunch of loops for a time. But if anything that Dave does, he knows logistics. I mean, this book, it's constructing the CrossFit.
Ooh, gold right there.
Yeah. By the way, this is such an easy read, but it kind of puts you in the frame of mind of Dave when it comes to programming events. And this is an old book. This is from, I think, 2017 game. So he's evolved since then. He's learned. But Brian or Roger, name something Dave has failed in when delivering like an event or a presentation at the games.
He has.
I know he's admitted. He's admitted to it. He's admitted to some things. But the thing is, the only reason why we noticed that is because he admitted to it. He always thought.
I don't know. I think there's some times where like we knew the 2 events that he specifically referenced. We kind of knew that the burpee over yoke with the GHGs, or burpee over and hay bale with the yoke that Tia and BKG almost finished in the first round. We knew that was probably not what he was going for, especially because the first time he did a workout like that, which was the 2-2-2-3 intervals with the rope climb, ski erg, and overhead squats, that it was like literally perfect execution. Yeah. And the other one was a Fibonacci finale for the men, which I mean, the crazy thing about that workout is the first time we knew it, we were like, damn, no one finished. And he admitted, he's like, I was thinking that a third of the field would finish. He ran it back the next year and still almost nobody finished. That workout is just crazy hard.
Yeah. But I mean, those are 2 misses. And I still, Brian, I think you said this to me at one point. I think this is before Dave was fired from CrossFit, is you mentioned that Dave is the best programmer in CrossFit, singular programmer in CrossFit, because he thinks about everything. And having him back, I mean, that's who Adrian learned from, and that's why when Adrian did take over programming for 2 years, yes, there were maybe some things that people would have thought as missteps, but we at the end of the day, we're like, man, what a great games. No one's going to look back and like, man, that was a great games, but Chad sucked. And again, I mean, and I can go back into obviously Chad itself, the meeting, the work. I mean, there's so many things I think about when I think about this, because obviously Chad is a workout, it's a hero workout. It's a workout that it's supposed to bring awareness to veteran suicide, where we're losing 22 veterans in the U.S. every day to suicide. Chad is a staple of the community, not just the workout, but him as an athlete, him as a member of the Navy SEALs, his wife Sarah, being a part of the seminar staff. If it's a 45-minute workout or an hour workout, guess what the broadcast team gets to do for an hour? Not just talk about the athlete, but they can talk about the hero WOD. Why the hero WODs are such a staple of the CrossFit community. Why veterans awareness and suicide, bringing awareness to these organizations. I'd be excited to talk to Chase about this. I'm probably going to reach out to Chase, and I'm sure he's already on it, and he's going to make money.
Imagine what's the option.
Yeah.
CrossFit Games need an hour workout. They need a 40 minutes to 160 minutes workout to be at the optimal test of fitness. You can't only do CrossFit workouts. We need this thing. So the options are doing a run, 10K run.
Yeah.
Doing a run, swim, bike.
Yeah.
Or doing a bike. So isn't this then a perfect option to have something that is ish CrossFit, but you still do a monostructural work for 40 to 70 minutes, and it's a good heart behind it. It's a good story behind it. We have time to talk about important stuff during this part, because it's not that action all the time. So you can, as you say, take up really, really important things in our community and talk about important stuff as well. At the same time, having elite fitness on the floor. And yes, it's not gonna. It won't be everybody finish at the same time. So I think the athletes or the people that just react a little bit too fast, and I think they should break down and see the big picture and see what the option should be. Okay, do you want to do a 10K run instead? Do you think that is more fun?
Yeah.
Nobody in CrossFit thinks 10K is fun. So
yeah, CrossFitters don't like running anyways.
No, so I think this is a perfect choice of a boring workout. Yeah, it's kind of boring, but I promise you that he has some tricks up his sleeve.
Yeah,
and I trust Castro in this part of the CrossFit Games, and I'm really excited to see this. And probably I need to do this Chad now because he's came. Yeah. So,
Sarah, he said it would be the first event. Otherwise, I don't know. I think it's going to be the Thursday night event. The way I look at it, the way Dickies, the format will be Dickies more than likely. They're going to be doing the wide view, so that way they can get 40 athletes. And I actually do think it'll be something where you move your box. Think of your box as a chess piece. So maybe every 150 reps or whatever, you advance it. So that way you got an idea of who's winning. And so it's going to be the wider version of the playing field, not going long ways to the finish line. We've seen that set up mainly for lifting events and
wall walk
thruster event where they had 20 athletes on the field. But the Dickies is so much bigger that they could put all 40 athletes in a lane, or especially in an event like this. But yeah, I see this as a Thursday night event. And the only reason why I say that is this workout will, Dave's smart. We know the games is about recovery too. So what he's going to do, it'll probably be Thursday night. The quads are going to be spent, but the quads aren't. I've done the workout. Believe me, I felt it afterwards. but I was able to move around the next day. It's not one of these workouts where you're completely smashed. So you're good, but you are going to need probably about 12 hours to recover from this workout before you do anything else. So
Did you take anything during that the 1,000 reps? Did you have any proteins and sugar?
I had some Gatorade. I normally don't drink Gatorade, but I usually drink water a lot. But yeah, Gatorade is always good. I had some salts, Element. I had some stuff like that. I mean, it's gonna be kind of the same thing. You're gonna probably see some athletes bringing like, I mean, just
so that's something you recommend to have if you're gonna do it. You should like have some small plan of getting something in.
Yeah. And for the most part, athletes Dave has interviewed, some of them haven't done it. Some have done half. I think it was Lexus Raptis said she did 500. She hasn't done the full one. So for some of these athletes, it's the first time they'll be doing it. For others, it might not be. But
do you think all athletes after the announcement will have done it? The whole
I don't think they'll do a full Chad. Most of their coaches probably won't let them, just a fear of them. Because at the end of the day, I think if they did 500 or did an like a 30-minute AMRAP or a 20-minute AMRAP, because remember, these are top athletes. They're going to be doing this for time. So it's not like when I did it, I already had a plan in my head. I'm going to do sets of 50. And I was doing sets of 50, stopping, taking my time, marking it off the board, and then moving on. These athletes are going to go. You're not going to have to, there's one point, I think, when I got to 750 where I stopped and sat in a box and took like a minute rest. I don't foresee any athletes doing that.
Did you track your pulse when you did it?
I didn't. I wish I would have. I wish I would have had my. I don't think I had my Whoop on. I think I was wearing a Whoop, but I don't think I.
Cristiano Ronaldo would have tracked his pulse.
Oh, of course, he would have had the heart monitor on. He would have had all types of things plugging out of him.
Drones and teams and analyzing and robots.
Roger, do you know this guy? Ted Randon. I'm a veteran with PTSD. Chadwick Clausen. Will you join me, Coach Roger?
He's actually a member on our affiliate, and he's one of our core team in our events. He works in our events. He's the guy that Ted Runner is a really cool guy because he doesn't say no to anything. He can do anything. He can. Hey, can you climb up that 80-meter pole and put up a banner? Yeah, no problem. And he's the guy that will say, "Should we do Chad now?" Oh, okay, let's do Chad. So yeah. So you will meet him on Sunday and Saturday. He was here.
Awesome. Thanks for.
I will join you, Ted. Of course.
Roger, do you have to go or do you still have time?
Yeah, my wife is here. We're gonna fix up the shop and everything, and the small details for tomorrow. So, but really, really thank you guys for having me. And always a pleasure. And I will keep you updated, Patrick, when I do that after the Shad.
You should do well. You're a lot better shape. You're a taller athlete. It's a 20-inch box for everyone. So I think
I just lost 7 kilos, so it's just like 2 months ago. So it's like the same weight. Yeah. So, all right, guys. But I will click out. And as I said, thank you, guys. And it will be a pleasure. Never stop talking because we need you guys out there. It's so important for you guys, your platforms, to be there and spreading the word. Especially you guys are traveling around so much as you do with Brian, at meeting all events. It's so important. I can't say it more enough, but it's really, really important for you guys, all the podcasters out there, working hard to spread the sport that we love. So thank you guys for doing it, and thank you for having me. So
thank you, Roger.
Thank you, Roger.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Yeah. For those that just joined a little bit late, if you missed the first part of this interview with Roger, it was really good in giving some insights into just his overall experience with competitions. They also have a rebrand that is in line with a lot of the things that he's learned in the last year or two of traveling around and volunteering at, experiencing, taking in, and running competitions all over the world, and especially here in Scandinavia. There's 2 articles up on B.Friendly Fitness. One is about the Norwegian Throwdown specifically this weekend, and the other is about his rebranding to the WODLA Group. All of those are good resources. And again, if you missed it earlier, he came on in February and talked about many of his kind of tricks of the trades in terms of running profitable CrossFit competitions, which he identifies and understands is kind of the biggest challenge for a lot of competitions, is how to make the money matter. The money makes sense to keep doing this stuff. and it's important to him, obviously, to figure that out. He's got a family, and he wants to make money by doing it, and also provide something that's incredibly important for all 4 pillars of competitions, which is something he spoke about as well: athletes, judges, or crew. He calls it sponsors and spectators. But we'll stay on for a little bit longer and talk about some other stuff. There's a bunch of comments that came in here that I wanted to address. Burj Khalifa vibes, CJ, curious to see what the impact on the athletes will be. Yeah, if you don't know what the Burj Khalifa was, I was hiking to the top of the tallest building in the world at Dubai a couple of years ago. And there are athletes at the CrossFit Games this year that did that workout. Some of them had a great experience, some of them did not. And so some of them, but all of them can draw upon the experience of going up. That was 160 flights of stairs. That's about, just say an average of 9 steps per flight or something like that. So you're looking at over 1,000 steps there. So it's not an unprecedented thing to do. They had a weight vest on as well. And we saw people finish in like the 33 to 43 minute time range. So I do think that that's a relevant example. A few people asked me about it yesterday. Anyone who kind of reached out yesterday, I may have responded to a few people, but I was also we were out at dinner and I knew we'd be talking about it today. But I think the first thing that I said when I saw the workout is, most people, you guys already addressed it a little bit. Most people do this workout for completion. And then most people do hero workouts for completion and to honor somebody. Obviously, if you get good enough at CrossFit, you can race workouts like Murph or Chad or something like that. But we have yet to see someone really race this workout. And I think that I have confidence in the Games team to do one thing in particular, or two, I should say 2 things in particular. One is to eliminate any concerns about the standards of movements. And you already talked about that a little bit. How they'll do it, I don't know for sure. Could they do step overs instead of step ups? Absolutely. But what Patrick said is critical. Man, is that really loud for you?
It's bearable.
Okay, I'm sorry about that. I mean, they're setting up for competition here. But the other thing is that you can correct poor movement in a live competition immediately. And so no rep, open your hips. Okay, now I know what I have to do, and I'll open my hips a little bit more. If I start to get lazy after another 50 rep, no rep, open the hips, okay? You're not going to have 20% penalties, 100 no reps from an athlete. And if you do, that's on the athlete at that point. That's not on the judge.
Yes.
And the second thing is Adrian Conway posted this last night about the marathon row being something that people could watch. That's actually anyway, Adrian Conway said something about a marathon row last night, and that the diehard people, they watch a marathon row and they were engaged in it, and it wasn't an issue. We already talked about how much longer that was, but the main reason why people could absorb that and watch that event for 2 to 3 hours is because there was an easy way to follow along. And I think that is the number one critical thing that CrossFit needs to make sure that they have, is some kind of counting system that's easy to pick up on. If I'm watching from home and I have to go to the bathroom and I come back, I should be able to tell within 20 to 30 seconds who's in the lead, how much they're in the lead by, and where a majority of the field is. One of the things that I think has been a limiter for digesting the sport of CrossFit, especially at the CrossFit Games over the years, is the top hat, the vertical one. Horizontal, excuse me, because you can only see 5 athletes. If you're going to have 40 athletes on the floor for 45 minutes, you need to have the vertical one on the side that shows like it does on F1 or on Supercross, whatever, where you can see 20 athletes, and then you can scroll to the next 20 athletes. And there needs to be some kind of visual cue for the people on site. What Roger was referring to earlier that I was mentioning was way back in regionals when they had the chipper with the 10 rope climbs in the middle, and they had that magnet that they moved up. You could build something like that. It's not very expensive, and you could have however many things you want on it. You could even have 2 where it's going up every 100 until 800, and then every 50 and then every 25 or 10, you can make it so that it's compelling, and then it gets increasingly more easy to see who's making and losing ground towards the end of the workout. That was a lot in a row. PC?
Yeah. No, I agree. Like I said, I think that the Dave and his crew, they're the best when it comes to tracking or telling a story, especially in long events. And I actually think this has you have a better chance of telling a story in this event than you do at something like the 5K or the run, swim, run, where, when they're out in the water, you don't know who's ahead unless it's Tia or,
Dude, think about that swim kayak we had 3 years ago.
Yeah.
I mean, it was like, okay, they all dive in, they all come get their kayak, but for the time in between that, no clue. And even on the broadcast, they were able to identify like one person.
Tia.
I've always thought that there could be better ways to do that, whether it's like, it's 2024. Like you can't implant something on the chip that's like water resistant and incredibly small that can just tell, or you give them different caps that have a, different color on it. So there's only like 5 people with pink, 5 with orange, 5 with blue, 5 with green, 5 with yellow. I don't know. There's tons of different ways that I think we could be better about telling stories for long workouts. This one, I'm not worried about that.
Yeah, I'm not worried either, because what you're going to do is you're having Chase and Adrian, who are going to be your your commentator and your color, and I guarantee you both of those guys have done Chad multiple times. So this will be one of the rare times where you have commentaries, both of them, that have actually done the workout and can talk on their own experiences. Not only that, but they can also talk about, again, the knowledge, the meaning of this workout. Which there's so much. And that's also a chance for them to bring on Sarah Wilkinson to talk about the foundation. Bring on Dave. That's what I would love to see, is Dave come on during that broadcast and talk about why he chose Chad, the meaning of Chad, why it means so much. I think that'd be a great choice. But there was another thought in terms of what I had regarding this, that point of contention. But I think this is fine. I think this is fine. I think, everyone's freaking out about it, but I think not everybody. There are a lot of people. I know, I
want to back up on something that Roger said earlier about the athletes.
Yes.
I think it was Roman who was talking to Dave, and he said, Dave, give me the CrossFit Games from 2014, 2015. Give me 15 events. Give me hard. Give me blood. Give me sweat. Give me tears. If I'm an athlete that's training for this sport and I make the CrossFit Games, my mentality is I don't care. You have to think back to 2009, especially 2009, when they all of a sudden went from having 3 events, 4 events to 9 events, this beatdown of a competition. Jason Kleep was on record in Sevon's Behind the Scenes saying, wow, that was a massive change from 2008 to 2009. And the person who wins this competition is going to be an absolute savage. That was Miko Salo, by the way, who Barkley Dale picked as the rookie of the all time for Coffee Pods and WODs yesterday, which I loved that question. And the conversation was pretty good. I'm going to get sidetracked here. Anyway, but the point is, if you're an athlete making the CrossFit Games, embrace the challenge. Like, you should be excited to be there, and you should want it to be hard. You should want it to be the thing that you've been training for, whether it's for a year or 10 years to get to. And I'll be like, let's go. I was talking to one elite athlete yesterday. This is a multiple year games athlete, and they were expressing some concerns about this workout. And I said, hey, if I'm an experienced athlete at the games, I'm loving this because I'm trusting my fitness over time and my experience of the non-spoken about most important event at the CrossFit Games, which is your ability to recover day to day and event to event. And what you said, you need 12 hours to recover from this. Well, you might not get 12 hours to recover from it. Think back to the ride to Pig Chipper turnaround, or think to the Capitol to Up and Over turnaround. How many athletes could not recover from a long, grueling event? Those workouts are both in this 35, 40-minute time domain. And then they had to turn around and do a CrossFit workout that really shouldn't be that difficult. And if you look at the results from Up and Over, and you look at the results from Pig Chipper, you're going to see a ton of athletes that should be great at that workout that were not good at that workout. And I can't tell you how many athletes we've spoken to that said, my quads were just smoked after ride, and I couldn't do 100 wall balls. I had to do 5s, 10s. But the best athletes in the world, the best games athletes, the more experienced ones that have been doing this a long time, they know how to manage this workout, the recovery after it, and get back on the floor. And while I do think that it's a really good likelihood that it's Thursday night, a part of me kind of hopes that it's workout 2, and that they still have to come back and do a 6 to 10 minute intense, Metcon that evening. And then we're really going to get to see right out the gates who can do exactly what I just talked about, and then also who can recover after a tough day 1. Because look, I also heard some people mention 2018 day 1, where they had 4 events: crit, muscle ups, total, and marathon row. They had an off day after that. No off day coming this year. We have 4 days. They're working out the next day no matter what.
Well, unless you get eliminated, then you have a couple off days.
Ooh, I want to throw this idea at you. I think that, because someone was asking about the time cap, and I said I would put a generous time cap on this. And I don't know exactly what that means because I haven't done a ton of testing, but 75 minutes or 90 minutes. And I would say
75. Yeah.
And I would say if you don't make the time cap, you're out. Because two things. One, everybody should have to do all of the work. And two is, if you can't just have an unlimited time cap. It's kind of like the marathon row. Plus, I like to have just that little bit of pressure of like, oh shit, I have to get this done because I don't want my competition to be over.
No, I like that. And I think they should. I really like, it's kind of, I go back to the whole West Coast Classic with Danny Spiegel, how she kind of like, I mean,
You're
she,
talking about the Rock.
the Ruck, yeah, where she kind of just quit because she knew she had to
Not this year's West Coast Classic, people.
No,
Years back in Vegas.
Yeah, from 2021, where she kind of she played it smart. There was no minimum work requirement, so she basically just withdrew from that event to save herself for the rest of the competition. But yeah, I think everyone has to complete the workout. I mean, it's a hero workout. It's all about the completion of the workout. Another thing I wanted to bring up, and I you know, as soon as I saw this, I immediately thought to myself, what better way to get involvement at your box than have this on a Thursday night? You bring in your community, you set up some boxes, and guess what? You're doing this along. Yeah, exactly. In the chat together, bringing awareness. This is your version of the 5K, the community event, where you know, most of us who have done it, we can look at our times, but you can do this live because when I did Chad, the first time I just had my headphones in. When I did the second time, I did it without a ruck because I was out of shape and I was just, my knee was bothering me, so I did it. But in the gym, we set up a TV, and what we were doing at our gym, we're just showing old games recaps. I remember also it was the 2020 games, the COVID games. We actually did a version of was it, is it Happy Star?
Mhm.
Yeah, we did a version of that at our gym while they were doing it on TV. Like we did like a shorter version of it. It was pretty cool. So I'm about to sneeze here. Hold on a second.
Jake Chapman, imagine the entire CrossFit community doing Chad together whilst the games athletes do it.
Exactly.
Literally type this in the chat as soon as Patrick was saying that. And Patrick was referring to the 5K run last year that was also opened up to the community to be able to participate on site on the actual course, and also inviting people around the world to do it. I think it was maybe even programmed as the .com workout of the day. I wouldn't be surprised if Chad gets programmed as the .com workout of the day on the day that they choose to do this. Jake with another interesting idea. First 250 steps are a separate event, a la the 2K row, not of the from the half marathon row back in 2012. I love this idea, and to this comment that goes way back to earlier in this podcast, Jeff. I just can't imagine any twist that makes it compelling. Jeff, I like you, man, but that is not giving credit to Dave. If Dave says that there's a twist and he has got that little smile on his face and that little chuckle, you have to imagine that there's going to be something in this workout that's not just, oh, we're making him step over the box instead of step onto it to eliminate the hip extension, and that's the twist. No, if he's taking the time to DM me and say there's going to be a twist, and taking the time to say to Emily Rolfe, yeah, it's Chad, but there's a couple twists on this one, he's not lying. It's not in his DNA. He's got something up his sleeve, and it's going to be something fun. And this idea from Jake, I love this idea.
I do too. That's nice.
Yeah, there's this element. Some people, and I think you might have said this somewhere, Patrick, like, well, it's a hero workout. He's not gonna to contaminate it by changing it too much. You can still keep the pure workout and have a compelling, dynamic component of it, and that's one way to potentially do it.
Well, it's just like people who say you do Murph with the year they did Murph partition. I mean, it's still Murph. You know, I mean, now we just have a different version of it, or people just say, oh, did you do it partition or non-partition? Obviously, there's differences, there are advantages of that. When it comes to the games, Dave's a showman. He's like a what do you want to call it? From the circus, ringmaster. You know, he knows what he's doing, and you know these armchair quarterbacks, and we're guilty of it too sometimes. But I think this is the initial response is I think this is fine. For those that say, oh, this is boring or this sucks or the whole quarterfinal things, I'm like, or that Dave's being vindictive, like it's way beyond that. You guys are putting way too much thought into this. It's pretty simple. This is a simple workout. It's a good workout. It's introducing the community and athletes who haven't done this. I mean, you brought it up there. Haley Adams has done this 3 or 4 times already, which I'm not surprised. You know, this is a Haley Adams type of workout. She has
Haley Adams. is if you never heard the story, Patrick, I know the story. When she was first deciding to move to Cookville, she just pulled up a rower in the corner of Rich's barn and did a marathon row. And after that, he was like, yeah, she can come. So, no, she is a great shout to do well on this workout. PC, can you pull up my Instagram story from yesterday where I made my early predictions about this one? Also, just want to give.
I really don't have to pull it up. You can just kind of just say it.
It's a good one. Jeff Birchfield, I've done this workout. It's brutal. I look back, my time was hour 45 unweighted. This is what's cool about this.
Yeah.
Jeff is, if you guys don't know Jeff, he's a good follow on Instagram. He follows a lot of the people that do these podcasts and talk about CrossFit, but he also does the work and puts in the work. And he's just a normal dude that loves challenging himself, working hard. He does a lot of stuff. And he also plays disc golf. So, so I was sitting down yesterday. I wanted to put some predictions out for this workout, and I started making a list, and I realized that they were pretty much all Europeans that I was writing down. Not all of them were, but then I thought to myself, it's 4th of July. Let me just make this statement. And a lot of people were asking me, why all the Europeans? If you're not familiar with just like culture in Europe in general, they just grow up doing things like this: hiking, cross-country skiing, long bike rides, swimming, running. And we've seen a lot. And then additionally, this was an interesting comment, PC, that I saw someone put earlier. Jeff, seems like the bigger men and women will be at a serious disadvantage. I didn't quite understand this comment because I was thinking the opposite.
No, yeah. I mean, I don't think everyone initially, especially on the men's side with the 20-inch box, they think, oh, the taller athletes will have this. But some of these taller athletes may not have the quad muscles or the lower body stability, or just, when you're doing this with a weight for 1,000 reps, I'm actually going to lean on some of the shorter athletes, the more compact athletes. I saw Austin Hatfield he was excited about this workout, and Austin Hatfield's one of the smaller athletes in the field, because I think he's one of the short, compact people. He'll just keep everything. It's not him opening up his hips. He doesn't have to over exaggerate, maybe like some of the taller athletes. Like if I'm Yella Hosta, who I think is one of the favorites, just because even though he hates running and he doesn't consider himself an endurance athlete, he's definitely a favorite. But think about him I think the first couple of over exaggerating, kind of like with the deadlift, making sure you get that hip extension, doing that pelvic thrust at the top. Where a shorter athlete, they probably don't have to do that as much as, say, a taller athlete, a longer range of motion. Especially, I see this becoming a race to the end. I can see someone, them just going at it for the last 25 reps, and it being a race, and then them finishing on top of the box and raising their arms up. So I don't know. I mean, I've seen someone like Kelly Jackson in our gym, do this around, I think, under 60 minutes. And she's probably one of the smaller athletes, CrossFit Games athletes, historically.
Well, I don't have the results from the Burj Khalifa in front of me right now, but I think Andrea Solberg was one of the top 2 or 3 athletes on that workout.
Yeah.
And she just says a European athlete who grew up doing these types of long outdoor stuff. If you just follow Yona Koski on Instagram, he just does long bikes, long cross-country skis, long snowshoes. Like that's what people in Europe do.
It's a mental thing.
Yeah. It was raining hard here in Norway yesterday, and there's bikers all over the place. Like that's just what they do. They're endurance athletes in Norway, in Europe. But if you've ever hiked a mountain with a group of people, the people in your group, I mean, that are really well conditioned are obviously going to stand out. But otherwise, I mean, having long legs and being, and kind of this pack on your back, like it can be advantageous. But don't forget about the Sherpas in Nepal.
Yep.
These guys are small, dude. They're like 5'5". They put 200 pounds on their back and walk up Mount Everest. I mean, there's a ton of different opportunity for athletes to do well here. And I was somewhat serious, somewhat joking with the comment about Europeans. I will put it out. I would say I do think that like a guy like Henrik Apolainen is going to smash this. I also think James Sprague is going to smash this. So I do think there's going to be some taller athletes that do really well, but I would not put it past someone like you said, like an Austin Hatfield, Tia Claire Toomey, that's just got some Haley Adams, not the biggest athletes out there that can just lay down a pretty good time as well.
Yeah. I mean,
Ooh, is this true?
yeah, I was just looking at the story now, which we knew,
Let's
you know,
go.
traditionally, Choi, Limelight and Mayhem kind of have like a partnership where they kind of, you know, Limelight itself is a Korean camp. They have a, yeah, Choi is trained there traditionally whenever she comes to the US. So it's really cool. Which makes sense. They go into a place like Mayhem, a camp like that. If you're an athlete who's not very familiar with America or don't have ties to America, it's great because they have everything you need there. All the resources you need. You don't have to, like if Troy and Daewon came to like Texas where they have no connections, they're gonna have to go to here to get body work done. Go here to go to a pool. At Mayhem, they have a big group of athletes that know that can help them out. They have systems in place. You know, they can bring physios to the gym. They probably have physios around the clock there for the athletes now, especially now that they have the athlete training center. Um, but um, but no, bravo to them for coming in a month and a little over a month.
That's huge. And I mean, I am curious. I think you even posted it on B.Friendly Fitness yesterday. I'm curious to see if and when they're going to go on with Dave.
Yeah.
And now that, and obviously they're in the US, but I don't know if they have. I wonder if they brought a translator with them or not, or if they'd have to use someone to go back.
Probably not. I doubt they brought someone in for a translator for a whole month.
Dude, if they're spending but if they are spending a month here,
yeah.
I mean, you know better than I if they have any capacity to get along well in an English-speaking country.
I'm sure they have. I mean, this isn't their first trip. They've made was it 3 years ago? Them and another woman. They had a team together at Wadapalooza. They spent like a week out of Wadapalooza. I think the other girl on their team, they had that team of 3 they had in Korea. She was really good English speaker, but I'm pretty sure there's some Koreans or someone that can probably help them out at Mayhem. It's probably something that they've known in advance, and they probably, I mean, you got Tennessee Tech right there. I'm pretty sure they have a couple, reaching out to find somebody. Cookeville, Tennessee isn't as backwoods as some people make it out to be. It's actually growing pretty big. They got a Canes now. So
one last comment here about Chad Jeff Birchfield. So it won't be on the football field. No, I don't think so. No. First of all, that would be kind of a waste of that venue. Second of all, it is legitimately hot in Texas in August, and this is a hard workout anyway. It's a long workout anyway. I don't even really want to see the athletes do this on the football field out there. It's harder to view it. It's harder to film it. It's harder to integrate the technology. So I think that for many, many reasons, no, this will probably not be on the football field. Jake Chapman, am I at Sid? No, the UK championships for strength and depth are going on this weekend in the UK. I didn't have any opportunity to do any work there, but I had wanted to. Just couldn't get in touch with anyone who could do anything about it. So I'm here in Norway at the Norwegian Throwdown, which we previewed earlier in the conversation with Roger Gilros. AI on the phone can translate.
Google Translate. Yeah.
Speaking of that, HCR CBD, if you guys have not checked them out yet, they are continuing to be our sponsor throughout this year. Massive supporter of me prior to us even having this podcast, and still supporting us. They've been, I mean, it's really, the more and more that I learn about what Carl does there, the more I'm impressed with their products. It's clean products. It's really good for helping recover, helping to just have, clarity and functionality in life. His story is very cool. He has had a chance to share some of that. They got this QR code here now. PC, you want to talk about that for a sec?
Yeah, if you scan this QR code and you follow Homegrown Relief on Instagram, you'll be entered into a drawing to receive a $50 credit to be used on anything online store. So it's no inconvenience to you. Just scan that code, follow, and you'll be automatically entered. I'll get details on when it ends, but I would just go ahead and scan that code again, and it'll take you to this page right here. Just hit the follow button. Very simple. It doesn't take much. Again, you supporting the supporters that support us directly.
Patrick, can you pull up the Turco Tumiopaiva Instagram? And before I talk about that, do you have any final thoughts on Chad?
No, I think I said it again. just, being a veteran, being someone that's very in depth about suicide awareness. I think there's a bigger meaning to that, and I think part of the whole broadcast is that you will have people that don't know about CrossFit, and they'll be able to tune in and they get to hear about what some of the meaning, the people, the community, what it means, what these heroes, what this workout, what it means to the community. It's a great I guess showcase. It's a great way to introduce CrossFit to people. Maybe it may not be fun to watch, but in terms of what CrossFit ultimately means to some people, and also bringing some awareness to this thing that's happening to the heroes of America. This year I've lost two friends to suicide, fellow veterans. And if you guys know my story, you know that I'm someone that has through PTSD, suffered through trying to take my own life. So this is something that I it's bigger than just the sport. It's bigger than that. And I think we should all keep that in mind when you're doing this workout or when you're watching this workout.
100%. And it's one of those things, like, it was announced so early, everyone's had a chance to get it off their chest, and now they've hopefully they just accepted it. I think by the time this workout happens, that it's going to actually be a really fun and memorable workout in the CrossFit Games history.
I think so.
This is a competition that I was at last year. It was by a different name. This year it's Turku Tuomiopäivä. Turku is the city in Finland that the competition happens at. And this is just cool. I didn't even know that they had all these athletes confirmed for this year. They do have a qualifier. And then in addition to that, they reserved some invited spots. This right here, what's happening is the reason why we're doing the B.Friendly Fitness World Tour. I went to this competition last year, and the biggest name athletes that were not from Finland that showed up there were from Estonia. And it was Mikko Lilliorg, who we saw, he made a semifinal this year. So it's not like it's a nobody. But this competition now has a footprint on a bigger landscape globally. And as a result of that, they've been able to secure Ludvig Hansen, who's the defending champion, and Mirka Henriksen, who's the defending champion. Colin Bossard, who, by all intents and purposes, is a CrossFit Games athlete. Connie Easby, who's one of the up-and-coming superstars in the UK. Luka Jukic, who's not only doing this competition, but the next weekend is also competing at the Belgrade Games, which will also be in Serbia, his home country. And he travels and hits the competition circuit. He has just qualified for his second CrossFit Games, first time doing it in a live event. Manu Nangonis, who missed the games this year despite qualifying for it in the past. Henrik Haapalainen, four-time Games athlete from Finland, competing in the big competition in his home country. And Ulla Supiniks, four-time Games athlete out of Latvia, who missed the games this year. They also teased that there's two other unannounced invited athletes that they will be announcing, so you can expect one other big name male and female here.
How awesome would that be?
Mikko Sela. Well, Joonakoski programs this competition. He actually joked with me the day that he missed the games. He's like, "Fuck! If I had known I was going to miss the games, I wouldn't have programmed this year, and I would have competed." But he'll probably join us on the broadcast again, like he did last year, and obviously he's doing the program, so it's going to be great. And this was just like, as these announcements are rolling out over the last 2-3 days, it just made me feel, first of all, happy for them, because the competition organizers of this event have been involved with running competitions in Finland for like 10 plus years. My good friend Hanu, he actually lives in Oslo now. I'm going to be hanging out with him next week. He more or less acts as a mentor now for this competition, but all of the organizers, the head staff, came up through Winter Wars, which was a competition that he ran for a long time in Finland, and have now gone on to take over running one of the most prominent, if not the most prominent competition in Finland. But all those competitions in Finland were just Finnish athletes for a long time. And like Roger here, these people run a really tidy competition, and they have a full broadcast, which I'll be doing it with Mina again, Ayu, and everyone can watch it. So this is pretty cool. It made me really happy. It made me feel like CJ said, like kind of the initiative that we have set out to bring more of an international availability for competitions around the world, to give athletes. I don't know what their prize purse is, and I don't think it's like a crazy prize purse, but it's a well-run competition programmed by 9-time Games athlete Joonakoski, led by a ton of people who know what it takes to make a great experience for the fans. They used the field. It's called the Ula Kenta, an upper field there. It's a soccer field. It was freaking packed last year. The community event is great, and the elite event is elevating. And this was just like so cool, and I wanted to just take a chance to share it today.
That's really cool. I mean, it really is, and it's cool. I mean, you should take a little bit of pride in that. I mean, I mean, I never heard of this thing until you did it last year, and I was like, "What is this?" And then, you spent a lot of time there. You did it. It was like one of your first broadcasts that you did, and it's great to see it kind of blow up like this. I mean, and for us to be a part of it, specifically you to be a part of that again, it shows that it's becoming more. It's just not a finish event. It's becoming more European and maybe global at some point. That's ultimately the goal. I mean, I have to look at
I mean, the next step for something like this would be, can we get one male and one female athlete from North America?
Yeah. Yeah.
And if you are a male or female athlete in North America that's looking for off-season competition, hit up the Belgrade Games. I still think they have a spot. They've been trying to talk to a couple athletes in North America, but that's like when Noah Olson and Travis Mayer made that leap and went and did Madrid Championships. Well, guess what? Then there started to be a few more that went over there, and they loved it, and they went back several years. That can happen in Finland. That can happen in Serbia. That can happen at the Oslo Throwdown in Norway. Like, there's opportunities for these things, and I think that the athletes, in addition, are starting to recognize that too.
Yeah, I mean, I think athletes they're kind of maybe taking that Luca.
CJ, we didn't know any of the athletes last year. We were literally on the edge of our seats screaming at our computer. What you're going to get this year is a heat full of half the athletes that you don't know yet and half athletes that you do in that final heat. And in addition to all these big names, there's going to be some opportunity to continue to learn about the up-and-coming athletes in Finland and that part of the world.
Yeah. I might actually, I mean, I'll be in Europe. Maybe I might come up for.
You will not be very far. Where you're going to be in Germany is not far from Finland.
I know. I was looking at actually flights. It's like round trip for a weekend. It's like $200 US, which is, I mean, I might come in a Friday and leave on a Sunday. One of those type of deals. Just just check it out. I mean, yeah, that's pretty cool. That's great, and it's cool to see.
Oh, maybe we could do a BTS.
Oh, maybe.
Speaking of that,
I don't have the skill that Chad does.
No, a couple last things that I wanted to leave you guys with before we go. One is Chad Mueller, the freaking man, dude. He did make a BTS of our time at Reps Ahead in Denver last weekend. That's going to be dropping early next week. It's like 45 minutes or something long. Patrick and I just both watched the preview. It's so really cool. I'm so impressed with what he's been. He's, in all regards, he just takes on challenges, teaches himself, and then quite frankly, he executes at a high level in the first try more often than not. So that's something cool to be looking for, whether you were there or not. If you haven't watched that Reps Ahead yet, I would really encourage you to go back and watch it. If you're just interested in one match or want to see a match to see what it's about, he time-stamped all of them, so it's easy to do that. As I teased in the BTS, we're going to have some more really cool opportunities with Reps Ahead this calendar year. So getting a little bit ahead of yourself and educating yourself on that can go a long way. Dude, I got to tell you this right now. I got to tell you guys, this is one of the coolest things I've ever heard about. Those two guys out there on the floor are Roger's dad and his uncle. Mm-hmm. Roger's dad and uncle, when they retired, they spent about 6 months sitting on the couch doing nothing. They got fat, sick, and out of shape. And Roger was panicking. And as any kid would do if he sees their parents just starting to do absolutely nothing with their life. He invited them to come to a competition saying, I need your help. Mm-hmm. I'm running these competitions. This is just when he was getting going with it. I need your help. He convinced them. They came. They did a little bit and helped out. And in the last 3 years, they have been at every competition that he's run. They are the hardest working guys on the gear team. They just got here like an hour while we were on the podcast. They're laying the tape down on the floor right now. They will work from morning to night. They will do anything that's asked them to, if it's too heavy, they won't do it. But anything that they can do, they'll do. Even when it's heavy, they'll do it together. They'll figure it out. They've both since joined the CrossFit gym, lost weight, started eating healthy. They're active in their life, and they work at 5 or 6 events every year with Roger now. And that is like honestly, it's one of the coolest stories in CrossFit that I've heard in a while. And they're out here doing it again.
That's crazy. I mean, that's great. I mean, it's crazy, but at the same time, it's the power of CrossFit, the power of movement. I'm sure Roger's extremely proud, and I'm sure that, he's extended their quality of life because of that. And that's the beauty of CrossFit. That really is. Yeah. So busy weekend for you. You get to
one more thing I want to talk about, if you don't mind.
Yep.
We dropped our summer merch last week. We
did.
posted about it on Instagram. We'll keep you guys up to date, but we got a ton of positive feedback. Several people have already placed orders and made some comments. I would say this: we don't like the merchandise is not like the biggest money making opportunity for us, but it's something that is fun. It's something that we like to do. It's something that gives ourselves and Chad the opportunity to express some creative freedom. And we are on the road a lot, and it is beyond cool when I go somewhere and I'm not expecting it and I see someone wearing one of those shirts, and it makes me feel good. It makes me feel proud of what Patrick and Chad and I have been able to do. We got to here's the drop here. This purple shirt I know has been getting a ton of positive play. I showed several samples, the one there in the middle, to members at the gym at CrossFit Charlotte before we dropped it. Everyone was excited for that. So obviously it's means a ton to us. But if you have the chance to, or if you're interested or like what we do at all, see if any of this stuff appeals to you, and get your orders in before June 15th. We'll continue to post reminders, but just wanted to drop this thing here while we were on there.
Yeah. And we also have, I think, our the hats. I like the hats. So
I'm gonna get one of each of those hats for sure.
I really like the white one, and then I'm not, I don't know. I haven't really tried the dad, I guess they call those dad hats or the rope hats. I haven't bought into that yet, but I saw Sevon wearing the West Coast Classic one, and it looks pretty good on him. If he can pull it off, maybe I could pull it off. But
I don't know if I can pull it off, but this was a very rare edition one that Ken gave me. And some people have tried to steal it from me or convince me, or maybe even offered me something in exchange for it, but I'm not giving it up.
Yeah, I wish I would have said that about my sweatshirt.
Dude, we have to get another one of those. I
don't know why it's so hard. I mean, I'm willing to pay Ken just to find that quality. I don't know. I mean, he has to have a record of, like, in terms of what type of sweatshirt he made, and what style, what brand, or whatever. But that thing was so comfortable. But
T-Bird, have had to miss a lot of your YouTube live lately because of life, but I have been watching. Good morning, T-Bird. Yeah, we absolutely love you. We know you're one of our best supporters, and appreciate you no matter what. The stuff I order never comes, and then I forget about it. What do you mean it never comes? Reach out to me, and we'll find a way to make sure that you can get it.
Maybe men in general, maybe not just us.
Yeah. Actually, was speaking with someone on Instagram yesterday, a fan that we met at Lowlands a couple years ago, lives in Germany now, and we were she was super generous. She ordered and paid the international shipping, but we are trying to work with Rising Tide to find a way to make just have distribution of stuff in Europe. It's, as many of you guys know, it's doable. It's a little harder than I wish it was, but I do come back and forth to Europe all the time. There's 2 people here that purchased our B.Friendly basic tees that I've been holding for, that I'm going to give them to this weekend. So no matter wherever you are, we want to find a way to make that work. So if you're not sure what to do, reach out and we'll see if we can help you in any way.
Before you go, you can talk on this.
Yeah, thank you so much. Rachel Hives, Jan Clark, a huge supporter, much like some of the other people I've spoken about today. He's from Scotland. She lives in northern Scotland. CrossFit 57 North is where she trains. She has a disease, FND. I don't know tons of details about it, but basically it can be extremely debilitating. She has linked up with the guys there at 57 North, been training there, coached by them, and it's been a complete turnaround in her life. If you go to her Instagram and follow some of these things, you can talk about how it's made her functional again. It's allowed her to interact with her kids in different ways, and she's managed to qualify for the games as an adaptive athlete this year. I told her I was going to be in Scotland in 2 weeks for WOD on the Lock. I said, like, please, if you can come down to the competition, I'd love to meet you, whatever. But at the very least, we wanted to just kind of bring some attention to it, as Jan had brought it to our attention. She is, as many people are, she's doing a GoFundMe for the games to try to get down to Texas for Real WOD in September. That was her coach right there. And you see she's on her way to raising some money. But it's a very cool story. And, like, I think if you guys are listening at this point, now you've heard me talk about Roger's parents. We see Rachel here. Like, these are the elements of being on the road that you don't access these, you don't find out about these, and they're happening everywhere. And while I love the competition, if you actually, because Roger's designing this new web page, he was talking about, hey, how should we do our owners page? And I showed him what we did when we started B.Friendly Fitness. We just have this about us, as most gyms or companies or whatever would do. And I was rereading through our profiles that I haven't read since we wrote them. And at the very last paragraph of what I wrote back then, it talks about this thing that's just exactly on my mind right now, which is despite knowing a ton about the best CrossFit athletes in the world, I am a huge proponent of CrossFit for what it was before the sport existed: a lifestyle, a daily choice to challenge oneself along others, creating healthier, tougher, happier, and stronger people. Rachel is one of those. Roger's dad and uncle are one of those. You and me are one of those. And probably almost everyone listening to this is one of those.
Yeah.
And as much as I love the competition, it's the methodology, it's the community. And I know that everyone says it, but when you travel around the world and you get to experience it, it's pretty powerful.
Yeah. And that's something that I'm looking at, as stressed out and as anxious I am right now. You know, I'm looking forward to when I get to Europe. It's kind of just broaden my horizon and get to meet some of these people, get to see some of this new version of the community, be a part of something, and even start maybe start my own community, small community within, while I'm there as well. So yeah, I mean, I think that's cool. I'll definitely put the GoFundMe link in the description. So if you have any questions, if you want to help Rachel, get to the CrossFit Games, the target's 8,000 pounds, which it actually isn't that much. She's already raised almost 2.5 pounds, 2.5 thousand pounds towards that goal. So I think it's a really doable thing. I think it's something that we can all maybe help her out with. So I'll put that into the chat, and I'll probably throw something up in our story as well. So yeah, thanks for letting me get some things off my chest regarding Chad. I mean, there was some other things I wanted to say. I don't know, but I think overall, I think anyone that thinks that Dave is doing this because it's an ego thing, yes, Dave has an ego, but I think it's beyond that. I think when it comes to it, just trust the guy. I think it's just right now people are just complaining to complain, or they're not seeing a bigger picture, or they're just like, oh, entertain us. And I'm like, do you want entertainment, or do you want to find the fittest, or do you want to combine those into something? Because either way, it's gonna, whatever you do, you have to have some type of I mean, you don't have to really do anything, but I think in CrossFit, if you didn't have some type of long modality, some type of workout, single modality workout, I mean, yeah, I mean, then I don't think it's a complete test. So, um, but something Dave has been doing, again, I brought this up. He's actually interviewed 31, because as soon as I put that up, he threw up his Alex Kazan video, 31 of the 80 athletes. So I'm applauding Dave for that. 11 days, 31 athletes, and they've all been really compelling. If you haven't watched them, watch them. It's probably the best stuff that's out there right now.
I think I'm gonna just pile them in on travel days, because
Yeah.
I haven't been able to keep up. I've seen one here, one there, whatever. But
It's really spotty.
for me, I'll get to him.
Yeah, but he's putting hints in there. It's really cool because, like he mentioned, he keeps on asking athletes like how much running, how much swimming, what distance swimming they've been doing, stuff like that. Asking about benchmarks, asking about like clean and jerks. I mean, those could, Dave, those all could be red
Do
hair.
you think there's a chance that we just see 200-meter freestyle for time?
Yeah, I wouldn't.
Like, why not? Why not? We've had a 10, 12-second sprint for time that counts as 50 points or whatever.
Yeah.
500-meter sprint that counts as 100 points. We could have 100-meter free. I think that'd be awesome, especially in an Olympic year.
Yeah, I think so too. I think it's really cool, and I'm pretty sure someone like Julia Cato would love to hear that. I mean, that's some. I mean, that'll put someone like her, who's a really good swimmer, up there with someone like DB and Tia, who are known as good swimmers as well. So that'd be really interesting to see. We haven't seen a real good sprint unless you count like the COVID year, when they did the sprint echo bike challenge, or but Yeah, I think a 200 meter, because he actually did ask Ricky about that, like how what he was doing. Ricky was kind of describing, and Dave was kind of like bobbing his head, saying, "Oh, I think that's good. I think that's good." So, yeah, it's been really cool. It's been neat to watch some of these athletes' personalities come out, especially the ones that have asked Dave questions too. So it's kind of neat. So,
If you're an athlete
but
and you haven't had your chance yet, get a question lined up. And if you don't know what question to ask, put it up on your Instagram and say, "What should I ask Dave?" Because
yeah,
somebody's going to give you a good idea, and all of us want Dave to answer questions.
yeah, and I think Dave's really enjoying this. I really did, because again,
He is, and almost everyone I've watched, it's like he can't stop smiling.
yeah, he is, and I think he's liking this interact. Who's someone who's known as kind of an introvert when it comes to stuff, has a small circle. I think he does. He keeps on saying, he's like, I like these 10 to 15 minute thing, because that's how he is. You very rarely will be able to talk to Dave anything longer than 10 to 15. If you get 10 to 15 minutes with Dave one on one, that's saying a lot. That's saying a lot, because that guy.
The podcast that he did with Sevon, JR, and John in Syndicate Crown was like an hour plus. That was
That blew my mind.
That's a unicorn. He
Yeah.
might go, if he's going to go to Sevon's house and sit down and talk to him. That's one thing.
Yeah.
But in any other scenario, to get more than 10 minutes with him is extremely rare. And I think that these are like bang for the buck, 10-minute podcasts. You're hitting pretty high percentage.
Yeah, and he says he wants to open it up and continue doing these, like after the games, like meeting, whether it be affiliate owners or meeting. He even said agents, and this is the guy where most agents like, "Oh, Dave hates us" and stuff like that. But he's like, "No, I want to get to know these people," because I think he's invested into it, and that shows his invested in it. Or he's just trying to make this something more interesting for him, So, might as well. And Dave's the type of person, again, I brought it up when people were like, is he going to get 080? If you know Dave, when Dave sets a goal, he's going to get really close to, if not accomplish that goal. So, he's very goal orientated, and I think he's going to get 080. Even Laura Horvath.
Time will tell, but either way, they've been great so far.
Yeah, but all right, everyone, thanks. Happy belated 4th of July. Hopefully everyone was safe. No one lost any fingers or whatever. My dogs were freaking out all the way till 1 o'clock in the morning, because people are firing either fireworks or firing their guns up in the air. We appreciate you coming on, and I will see these private chats.
Those are
so let's everyone have a good weekend. It is Friday. It felt like a Sunday last night, so I was like waiting for Game of Thrones to come on, and it didn't come on. So but anyways, enjoy your weekend. Be safe, be friendly to each other. I almost ruined that. Be nice to each other this weekend. Next week we have Ricky, good old Ricky Mack coming on Monday. So I'll be on noon Eastern. Brian, you'll still be in Norway.
Yeah.
So we'll have Ricky on, and then maybe we'll do a small hopefully some other stuff happening next week, some exciting news. So if not, we'll keep on hinting some exciting news. But again, thanks for supporting us. A busy day today. I think a lot of people, with it being Friday, there's a lot of people catching on podcasts. I think Sevon might be having Austin, or I think he's having someone on today. I don't know. But I know Shelp and Scribble, they're starting their new time at 7 o'clock Eastern on Friday now. So Friday night. So but anyways, thanks everyone. Thanks to Roger. Brian, have a great time tonight. It's mid-afternoon now. Support Homegrown Relief. Click on the QR code. And as always, be friendly, our friend.